I wasn't planning on upgrading to the Canon R5 Mark II, as my R6 Mark IIs are perfect for my headshot work. The vast majority of my headshot clients are dropping their images into LinkedIn or their website, so they don't need a ton of resolution, but there are times when the extra resolution comes in very handy. Group shots and sports photography come to mind. Having access to this resolution is expected as a pro photographer, and there are times when my clients need a tight crop of a relatively wide portrait. Knowing that I can deliver this without running the images through a bunch of resizing steps in Photoshop is very handy. I'm also doing a little more video these days, and the new R5 Mark II has some key video offerings. So I thought I'd give this camera a try. Here's my quick take on the R5 Mark II so far. The autofocus. As you might have heard, the autofocus in this camera has been hyped up, and having tested this camera at a few soccer games, I'm really impressed. The action priority mode for soccer really does work faster than your brain. It knows where the ball is going to be and focuses accordingly. It's very cool. I will add, though, that the results are best when shooting tight with longer lenses. The more you can fill the frame, the better. As a test, I tried shooting a few minutes of soccer on a full-size field with 70-200 from the stands. The results weren't quite as snappy. Pro tip, don't even bother with a 70-200 on a full-size soccer field. If you're really curious, Canon wrote a whole guide on the latest autofocus system. I'll include a link in the description. I tried eye tracking autofocus as well. It works for me and seems to make more sense in situations with erratic movement. Not soccer anymore, though, in multiple subjects. For example, if photographing a few dancers together, the camera can only guess on which one it should focus on. This is where eye autofocus is handy. You don't need eye tracking to find the subscribe button, though. I really appreciate your support. Still photos. I've owned and sold the R5, and I found that the RAWs were quite different than my R6 or R6 II, which required a lot of shift and white balance. This always frustrated me, as coming from Nikon, I never noticed any sensor differences for the many camera upgrades I did for over a decade. But Canon seems to have things more dialed in now, as the look is a much better match to my R6 Mark IIs. Otherwise, I wouldn't say the still sight is a huge upgrade. Landscape photographers, for example, might be hard-pressed to appreciate the improvements in autofocus. The RAW files are huge, but have you tried the CRAW files? These are compressed RAWs at about half the size of the standard RAWs. Lightroom doesn't even distinguish between the types, so as long as your exposure isn't completely off, I wouldn't hesitate using this format. I may shoot a couple thousand frames at a soccer game and publish maybe 50 to 100. I hate deleting the rest, so the CRAW format should allow me to hold on to the shots that didn't quite make the cut. Otherwise, I'll save my storage for video. For specific setup tips, check out this great video by John Gress. Video features. I'm in the process of upping my game when it comes to video. It's a process, that's for sure. This camera now offers the ability to shoot in C-Log 2, which filmmaker YouTubers tend to drool over. And I can confirm it's very easy to work with. I like the LUTs from Tyler Stallman. My guess is that this camera will match very well against any of the new Canon cinema cameras. There are tons of frame rate and codec options, some of which I'm still figuring out. In short, if you're looking to dabble in video, this camera has you covered. The full-size HDMI port is a welcome addition. Finally, I work a lot in corporate conference rooms, and the only HDMI ports in the room are the standard full-size plugs. The mini HDMI plugs are just a non-starter for me, about as annoying as the micro USB on my Trek bike light. Come on, Trek, it's almost 2025. Micro USB is out. I've been testing the new digital hot shoe with Canon's little shotgun mic. While it's definitely pricey for what you get, it's very handy to just drop this mic on the hot shoe and be ready to shoot. No other wires or cables required. There are options to select a wide pickup pattern to pull in lots of ambient sound. In my testing, this has been great for football games where the sounds are coming from all directions. My goal was to convey the ambient noise from the band, the game, the fans, etc. Moving on to some general observations. I did notice that the dimensions are just a little different than my R6 Mark II, so my small rig cage doesn't quite fit, of course. Canon also updated the battery, and it's a bit of a touchy subject, and some camera features are restricted if you don't use the new batteries, so stock up. As of this recording, the batteries are still hard to get. Speaking of batteries, there are a few different battery grip options. One is even designed for video with cooling fans. The Canon Connect app is still a little clunky when it cooperates. It's just baffling to me that connecting these cameras to a smartphone is so hit or miss still. On the video side, Canon is touting their new camera control app, but sadly the R5 Mark II doesn't support it. It's only for the newer cinema cameras. This is a bummer. What do you think about the Canon R5 Mark II? Will you be upgrading? Let me know in the comments. I'm working on a digital course designed to help headshot clients prep for their session. As of this recording, it's not out yet, but there's a link in the description to sign up to be notified when it drops. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.